not worried about the Sacramento Kings. Not at all. I'm not going to be doing this all year, going back and forth with them. Nobody cares that we won last year. It's a new year, so we just need to focus on the new year. But like I said, I'm not worried about the Sacramento Queens. Write it down, take a picture, send it to them. I don't care.
If you're a Kings fan, sorry about that. Had to throw that in a little bit. Super pumped about making these videos. We're on the Sacramento Kings today. Let's talk about them. So one thing that I'm kind of interested in with this team is just kind of the youth, the trades. We'll be talking about these things right here. Off-season move, salary cap, rotations, win total. You already know if you've watched. But yeah, before we get started about talking about the Kings, let's talk about subscribing to the channel. We're at 50 subscribers. Can you believe that? We're going to try to blow this thing up as much as we can. So subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment, tell me where I'm wrong or right about the Kings. Because I have them as my Consolda spreadsheet here. 12th team in the West. Let's talk about it. Let's begin with kind of the off-season moves that this team made going into the summer, or coming out of the summer, I should say. Let's talk a little bit about what they did. So there was a lot of those rumors that were talking about Buddy Hield gonna get moved, and then we hear Buddy Hield's going to the Lakers. Kuzma's going to Kuzma and Montrez, and I think KCP are going to the Kings. That doesn't happen. The Westbrook trade occurs, and then that deal apparently fell apart. So to me, it's interesting the Kings never got that Buddy Hield trade to go, for one, and then just really any trade of him at all. It's got to be weird because we've heard almost for like a couple years now, Buddy Hield isn't really a whole lot liked with Kings upper management. And yeah, so we'll see what happens with him. Let's talk about what did happen. The Kings drafted. They selected Davion Mitchell and Neemias Queta in the draft. It's two solid selections. Mitchell looked pretty good. Not pretty good. He looked really good in the Summer League. I don't get too crazy about the Summer League just because it's really skewed towards those players that are perimeter players. So Davion, it was totally an area he could shine in. And, that is that. So I think there is a little weird things as far as the rotation go, which we'll get into. But Mitchell and Queta are the rookies for the Kings this year. I like the Queta draft pick, but let's talk about what else they did, which really is weird to me. So they traded DeLon Wright to Atlanta. I don't believe that's even mentioned on here. And then also they were able to acquire Tristan Thompson from the Hawks from Boston. It just a really weird pickup for them. I don't think they needed any more center depth. Keep in mind, this team also retained Richaun Holmes in free agency. They brought him back. And then they also brought in Alex Len. And then you also have Marvin Bagley, who may be better at the 5. I don't know where he's good at, Marvin Bagley, but I just think there's a lot of front court players here and not enough minutes to go around. So that's weird to me. We'll talk and speculate about that in a minute as well. So Len, Thompson, Davion Mitchell, Neemias Queta, Yogi Ferrell was waived, Justin James was waived, Hassan Whiteside signed with the Utah Jazz, and DeLon Wright was traded to the Hawks. So kind of like honestly, to be like, they added the centers that they added just kind of were weird to me. So I'll give this like a C+. And that includes the draft. I'm not crazy about Davion Mitchell, but he'll prove us all wrong here in a month or two. Let's talk about the salary cap here for the Kings. So with the salary cap situation the Kings find themselves in, you can see that they're over the cap, which is really funny because they're not even sniffing the playoffs here in the last 20 years. So they're paying a lot of money to some players, and this is a team that can totally sell and trade away their players, and it would make sense. I'll go to my my really hot take when it comes to the Kings. I think it would be in their best interest to potentially just trade away De'Aaron Fox, Hield, and Barnes, and Bagley, and just totally rip this thing and build from there. Halliburton and Mitchell can play either guard position, but to me, I just think that De'Aaron Fox's money, awesome, and he's a good young player. I think another team could just say, yeah, we want De'Aaron Fox, and maybe you can get future picks for him. And that's what the Kings really need, is just to rebuild this thing. So I know that's crazy, because people really like Fox, and even the Kings themselves have come out and said that Fox and Halliburton are probably the only untouchables on the team as far as trades go. But is there a move where Simmons could go to Sacramento and Fox goes to the Sixers? I mean, we'll see. Buddy Hield makes a lot of money. I cannot imagine that they go another full season with Buddy Hield on the roster. We'll see what happens there. Also, Harrison Barnes, Bagley, who his uncle, I believe, or I think it's his dad. Marvin Bagley's dad is like super, super hating all the time on the Kings. Doesn't want him to be there. That probably is a little bit also the opinion of his own son too. So Bagley, I think, probably is going to be gone here soon. Like I said, this team as a whole, I think they might have a fire sale here. If the season screws up and they fire Luke Walton within like the first 10 games of the season, which, I mean, I should look up Vegas odds to see which coach is most likely to be fired first going into the season. I think it's Luke Walton. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But watch the Kings. Sorry, Kings fans, if you're listening to this, but watch the Kings fire Walton, and then like they just still aren't great, and then they potentially trade away finally Hield and Barnes, and I don't know. I think it's going to be an ugly season. This is why I'll just tell you right now, I'm going to take the under on their win total. Their defense, let's talk about that real quick, isn't that much better. Can you really trust Neemias Queta to come in, who was a really good defensive player at the college level? Can you really believe that he's going to come in and just change everything for the team? I don't know. Don't think so. Holmes is their best defensive player, but he's got to rest. He can't play the whole game, and even when he is in, it's not like he's moving them to an elite defense. They're still just very average, even though he's anchoring very, very good defensive numbers for them. Other than that, I mean, nothing too crazy on their cap sheet. I think Tristan Thompson could be a potential guy that they buy out. They just say, hey, we'll roll with Len and Bagley and Holmes and Queta. We don't need another center, so we'll just waive him, and he goes to the Lakers and joins LeBron, and we'll see. Halliburton, obviously great. I think he's going to be a dude who will take another step forward in his development and be a good player for the Kings this year. Terrence Davis is solid. So yeah, some good young players, but still at the same time, they're very raw still. So you just can't really you can't put the highest of expectations on this Kings team. Could be wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. Let's talk about rotation here. The Kings have a starting lineup projected by Hoops Hype of De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield, Mo Harkless, Harrison Barnes, and Richaun Holmes. Yeah, I think that's pretty much their lineup. I mean, they could really blow us all away and say, we want to do a 3-guard lineup, and we want to start Tyrese along with Hield and De'Aaron Fox. Maybe they do that. I don't know if that's the greatest thing, but I don't know. We'll see. And then their reserves are Davion Mitchell, Tyrese Halliburton, Robert Woodward, Metu, I'm not going to pronounce his first name, Alex Len. And then, again, this is not even mentioning Terrence Davis, Marvin Bagley, Tristan Thompson. So, nice players, okay players. Not enough to get me excited to the point where I'm like, oh, yeah, they're just going to blow everybody out, and they're going to get to the freaking playoffs for the first time in a long time. I just don't see that. I really am interested. Again, we mentioned with the guard kind of play here, Halliburton, Mitchell, Fox, Hield. Like, where are exactly minutes going to go? Are you going to drop? Like, is Davion just not going to play, or are you going to just keep Tyrese playing the low amount of minutes that he was playing, or decrease Fox's minutes, decrease Buddy Hield's minutes? It would be really interesting there. I would not really buy into any of these players playing a whole lot of minutes for the Kings this upcoming season. Again, I already mentioned the center rotation here. Holmes, Len, Thompson. It just doesn't make any sense. Damian Jones has been in the league for a little bit. Bagley can play the 5. Just really weird. I don't understand why they got a bunch of centers. Barnes, Harkless, and they just don't have any forward depth too. Like looking at this, like who plays the forward position? I think Terrence Davis. Well, I guess he's more of a 2. So like their forwards are weak. So you got really solid young guard play, but at your center position's a mess. Your forwards are kind of weird. I don't know. And who's scoring on this team? I know Barnes and Hield shoot the ball really well. De'Aaron Fox, I kind of would want him to start learning to shoot a little bit better. I still like him overall, but man, if he could be able to shoot, I think he's kind of in that Ja Morant phase where Ja just does not really shoot the ball from 3. But I think eventually he's going to learn, like, you have to. And if you don't, like, people are just going to not guard you on the perimeter. And I think we might see that this year when it comes to Fox and Morant. So let's, on that negative note here, let's talk about the 35.5 win total that Vegas has. This is according to the Action Network. And this is kind of like an average of most of the sites that you can bet on with FanDuel and Caesar and PointsBet and all those fun stuff. Let me tell you, I will take the under on this. I'll take it hard. I think there's a real possibility. Again, I talked about the Spurs. I think there's a real strong possibility that the Spurs get like 32 wins and the Kings get like 33. And maybe they switch in the standings, because I just don't see what to be excited for if I'm a Kings fan. I'm sorry to be depressing. I will in the future actually came up with an idea that will be fun with all 30 NBA teams. But for now, I'm not super crazy about what the Kings provide. I will take the under on this one. However, they're going to be better. Take comfort in this, Kings fans. You will be better, in my opinion, than the Spurs, the Rockets, and the Thunder. But when you talk to me about even the Timberwolves, who I won't talk too much about, I just think that there's a gap there between the Kings and the Timberwolves. So that's me saying something nice about the Timberwolves, which I usually don't. But anyway, what do you think? If you think I'm crazy, tell me I'm crazy in the comment section. I know we do have a Kings subscriber, so make your voice heard and we'll talk about it in the comments. Yeah, that's it for today. Tomorrow, we'll be talking about the next teams, which will be, I'm not going to tell them, but they will be the 11 seeds. So we're going to talk about the play-in a little bit tomorrow. No, we're not talking about the play-in. We're talking about the play-in bubble officially tomorrow. So anyway, thanks for watching. Yeah, sorry, Kings fans.